Good evening. The time is 6:30. I'll call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Does anybody have any comments about the minutes? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No comments.
Not hearing anybody. Could I have I'm just going to go, these are going to be out of order because of the way that they're on my screen right now.
Is the microphone on? I can't hear you.
The microphone is on.
They don't really.
Yeah, you can move up, but I'm not sure how much else. All right. Could I have a motion to approve the 10/19/2022 meeting minutes?
Can I make a motion to approve the 10/19/2022, 10/5/2022, 12/21/2022, 1/25/2023, 6/22/2022, and 9/22/2022 meeting minutes?
You may. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. And next on the agenda is A, request to extend an order of conditions, DEP file number 305-1004, Solitude Lake Management of Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, Apache Way, Assessors Map 99, Lot 92. Is there anybody here for that? Could you?
Do you want me to come up here?
Yes. Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Sure. I'm Sean McCarthy, project manager for Solitude Lake Management. We manage about 300 ponds all across Massachusetts and thousands across America. I have done enough of these. I find that some boards want to hear every detail, and other boards, they already know what's going on. They don't want, so stop me at any time. I'll go through as much detail as you need me to. So
Good summary is what we're asking for.
So Indian Ridge Condos is looking to renew, so they went through around 2016, the NOI process. It was approved. They were given an order of conditions, and that expires. It actually went on a little bit longer because of COVID toll, and it was extended, but we are here to renew that too. So we have been managing the lakes at the condo association. Lakes, they're ponds, they're small ponds. And we've been working with them since 2016, and they have asked us to, work with them to get an extension permit for the program. The current extension is due to expire in July 20th, on July 20th. So the aquatic management program, as outlined in the original NOI, was presented to the Commission as an ongoing maintenance project, which is often needed with water retention type ponds and, runoff in housing areas. And so to us, prudent management is an ongoing endeavor. It requires constant assessment and monitoring, reevaluation, usually trying to reduce overall chemicals used, depending on what's found in the ponds. The management programs for the ponds have been developed and reevaluated to be compatible with the goals of the applicant and the regulatory responsibility of you as the Conservation Commission, and also the requirements of the MADEP. Since management began for the condo, they've included algicide and herbicide treatments applied only when necessary. So we stop by routinely and take a look at the ponds, and we don't always treat. Sometimes we do need to treat. One issue with these older ponds, as they go on, is algae growth. And what happens is the algae growth can sometimes get to dangerous levels. And we do want to kind of nip that in the bud before it gets that high. One of the worst is if it starts going into cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria can be very dangerous to people. We definitely do not want to see that form. And we have ways of treating for that to knock it out immediately if needed. I did send a couple of images you may or may not want to share on the screen. It shows the ponds. In fact, it shows one of them was severe algae growth. We took a picture when we were first starting on that just to show how bad it could get. So the Indian Ridge Condominium Associations is seeking to initiate the aquatic management program on the 4 ponds that they have. The current objective is to control coontail, filamentous algae, cattails, water shield, and waterweed. That's what we've seen most often recently. And we want to improve and maintain the open water quality, stormwater drainage capacity. And we also want to point out that the ponds are approved for use as a water source by the town fire department, so they can be pumped if there's any issue there. Another reason to keep the ponds relatively clear of weeds. So based on the type and distribution, we recommend restoration goals can best be achieved through the prudent use of chemicals that are approved by US EPA and Massachusetts DAR. The proposal is being filed as an ecological restoration limited project under 310 CMR 10.53.4. It'll protect the interests of the Wetlands Protection Act by controlling a nuisance species and improving the water quality, slowing pond eutrophication, which again is a big problem in the smaller ponds sometimes. The 4 retention ponds all range between 0.2 and 0.7 acres. The average depth's about 4 feet. That means that the entire property is considered a littoral zone because the water can penetrate all the way to the bottom, which of course allows pond weeds to form in there. Based on the goals, we think that the chemical treatments can be done, I'll get into the chemicals in a second. The site description itself, the 4 ponds are located across the development of the condo area. Ponds 1 and 3 are surrounded by residential development, 1 through 3. Pond 4 is backed by forest land. Inflow to the ponds comes from the rainfall and runoff from the properties. There's no outlets to the ponds 2 and 3. Ponds 1 and 4 have small outflow areas. And each one has, we've worked with the owners to install individual fountains for aeration and to cut down on the need for chemicals, because sometimes the aeration can help reduce the amount of algae. Dominant species, water shield, coontail, filamentous algae, cattails, various water weeds seen over the years there. Existing conditions, well, our most recent visual survey of the ponds have found that filamentous algae does sneak in and cattails are plaguing all 4 ponds. Now, cattails are a native species, but they do kind of have to be controlled so that they don't take over the whole pond, so we try to cut them back. The coontail and cattails show in pond 1. Water shield shows in pond 2. Coontail and water weed growth are in pond 4. Pond 3, things come and go there. Currently didn't see anything there, but we know it comes back quite often during the summer. Upon inspection, we have decided that, I do have a picture, but if you don't have it up, let's not worry about that right now. So the overview, what we want to do is to control the growth, maintain the open water habitat, promotes the growth of less pervasive and less invasive plant species, and especially shorter ones that don't take up the whole water. We want to be able to treat them with the following chemicals. We're requesting approval for Diquat. Diquat is sold under several different brand names, but it's all exactly the same. I think our original application said Reward. We also use a brand called Tribune in there, so it'll be one of those 2. Fluoridone, AquaPro, which is a type of glyphosate, Clearcast, and copper-based algicides that are used to control especially the algae that grows in there. When you think about it, copper pipes are used to kind of kill bacteria and algae that come into your home, so it's the same idea. So no significant alteration to the wetland areas will occur. Instead, we think they'll be enhanced by controlling the nuisance plant growth and improving overall water quality. I also have some details on the individual chemicals that we proposed. It's quite long, it's in your packet, I don't necessarily need to read that, so really that's my presentation right there. We can go back and revisit any of that you'd like.
Does anybody have any questions? That was very thorough, and we appreciate all the information.
So just so I understand, this is just maintenance activities that's ongoing every year?
Yes.
And this is, you've already extended it 3 years beyond, so this is your second 3-year extension?
Yes. Well, during COVID, they extended everybody's, just
Correct.
to avoid meetings and everything, so that's how we got up to where we are now. Yeah.
So I guess, is there any end to this project, or is it just an ongoing maintenance activity that we're just extending so you don't have to file another NOI? Because it's
As of now, it's ongoing. There's always new things that we try, et cetera. The aeration helped a great deal. We don't treat as much.
So does this differ from your initial NOI that you submitted? If you're doing aeration now, adding DO, doing copper sulfate, whatever you're adding to reduce the algae growth?
That was in the original, yes.
It was all in the original?
all those
I thought you said you were
chemicals,
using
yeah.
different chemicals during your
Well, I
speech.
said that the name, Reward and Tribune, we use various generic. Some of these are just generic chemicals these days, so, and they've all been reviewed, they've all been listed by EPA in Massachusetts too, so.
So Joe, can we just essentially extend this in perpetuity, or is that, at what point in time do they have to come back for another NOI? Because it seems like ongoing maintenance in perpetuity is what this NOI is. I wasn't part of the board when this was done, so I don't, and I think only partial documents are in this, so I don't know exactly the full extent of the project.
So it can, in theory, be extended in perpetuity. Is the worry like adding additional chemicals and?
I just want to make sure that like there's nothing differing, and I don't have all the documents in front of me, so that's why I'm asking you if there's no significant modification to the initial NOI to what's being proposed now, or being done now, I guess. For some reason in the SharePoint, only like the first page of all the documents is loading for me.
Yeah, because that was just meant to show just like the time frame of like the order, the last extension. So this was already extended. I'm just pulling it up. Yeah. So I don't have the original notice of intent of what was originally proposed.
It's very similar to what I just read to you. I mean,
Okay.
almost identical with a few different changes about what we're doing at the ponds and what we found. Otherwise, it's almost identical.
I mean, so what we got for the application was the US EPA/MADAR, the aquatic herbicides, stuff like that. So is everything that you read off there all part of those?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the commission could, if they wanted to approve of the extension, it could just be the approval of the extension of the existing order as it's written, and then check to see whatever, if this letter that is in front of us now, if that is consistent with what was originally proposed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just, me personally, I'd like to throw a bigger number at it instead of dragging people back in. Seems like it's a 3-year contract.
It is 3 years. I have seen some towns do 5. I haven't seen anybody do in perpetuity. I mean, it certainly would make my job easier if you do it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
3 to 5 is what I tend to say.
what do you folks think about jacking it up to 5 and?
Well, so it's limited per
Per
Wetland
year.
Protection Act
Right.
and our bylaw for 3 years.
It's a hard number?
Yes, for the
Except for-
bylaw, yes, I believe in the Wetland Protection Act, there's one-off cases where it's only certain projects can be extended by 5. I'm not sure if it's ecological restoration though.
Yeah, the reason I said that is because we're coming to the end of a couple of 5-year projects, but frankly, something could have changed in the state laws during that time period, so, and I'm not being a lawyer, I can't promise you that you can do 5, right?
Then 3 it is.
Yeah, I think 3 until we have firm
3's an easy,
numbers.
right, 3's an easy sell, right?
And it would be the extension of the existing
Right.
order based off of whatever notice of intent was originally filed.
Yes.
Anything else?
I like it.
All right. Could I have a motion to approve the request to extend an order of conditions for DEP file number 305-1104 as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good talking.
All right. Agenda item B, public hearing, a request for determination of applicability, Katie McSheehy, 61 Geiger Drive, Assessors Map 99, Lot 90. Is there anybody here for that? Joe, were we expecting anybody for that? Should I?
I'm not sure. I know this is a project that was continued from last meeting where we were just waiting for a butter notification requirements, but we can table it if you'd like to see if she shows up.
Yeah, let's table this for now.
Is this the person that came with 2 kids that we told her that she didn't
Oh,
really
is
have
it-
to come?
Is it that one?
Could have been.
I think the only reason we didn't move forward
Abutters.
was because the abutter.
Yeah, we reviewed
Correct.
it.
Yeah, so I can just give her a little summary if you like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Excuse me, can I ask what was that you just talked about in the beginning?
the current one we're on, or,
Where you're just at right now, sorry, I couldn't hear.
Agenda item B.
it's request for determination of applicability, Katie McSheehy, 61 Geiger Drive, Assessors Map 99, Lot 90.
So, yeah, the project was for a proposed deck, which is located in the 100-year floodplain. It's also greater than 25 feet away from the nearby wetlands. Per the Wetland Protection Act, for whenever there's work within the 100-year floodplain, quote, compensatory storage shall be provided for all flood storage volume that will be lost as a result of a proposed project within bordering land subject to flooding, AKA the 100-year floodplain. When in the judgment of the issuing authority, said loss will cause an increase or will contribute incrementally to an increase in the horizontal extent and level of floodwater during peak flows. So in other words, if the commission has a little bit of judgment in determining whether like de minimis amounts of fill in the 100-year floodplain will actually contribute to pushing floodwaters on elsewhere and whether that requires compensatory storage. So it's either it alters the floodplain or it doesn't.
But, yeah, we were only talking about the actual postings into the ground.
Yeah, so it's only the footings for the deck.
And the butters notice has been fulfilled.
Yeah, so that was just a time frame.
All right, in that case, so this is, actually, before I open it back up to the public, is there anybody on the commission who has any questions or comments?
So just for things in the floodplain that are considered de minimis, I just need like explicit, like, it does not alter the floodplain for the permit to work out from the commission.
All right, I agree, it does not alter the floodplain.
I also agree about that.
we're talking 2 footings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a deck, but it's,
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
it's a
looked at the
deck.
thing, but I was like altering the floodplain, okay.
all right, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the public who would like to, stand and make a comment, now's the time to do so. Not seeing anybody, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability for Katie McSheehy, 61 Geiger Drive, Assessors Map 99, Lot 90, as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, agenda item C, public hearing, request for determination of applicability, Tracy Morrell, 6 Erlin Terrace, Assessors Map 47, Lot 34. Is there anybody here for that? Not seeing anybody. There was more to this one. Was the abutters notice also an issue with this one?
Yeah, it was an issue, it continues to be an issue. I don't expect anyone to be here.
All right. Could I have a motion to continue this request for determination of applicability to the next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Agenda item D, public hearing, request for determination of applicability, Thomas Barry, 900 South Street, Assessors Map 98, Lot 230. Is there anybody here for that? Not seeing anybody. Joe, was there also a butter notifications for this one?
This was the parking lot
Yeah.
right next to the wetlands, or it was
Oh,
proposing
yeah.
parking lot and then was thinking about not going forward with it.
We haven't heard anything about whether he's decided not to go through.
Not a clear answer, no.
All right. I don't see him. here, so could I have a motion to continue this request for determination of applicability to the next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Agenda item E, public hearing, request for determination of applicability, Fabio Lima, 237 River Road, assessors map 27, lot 19. Is there anybody here for that? Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Hi, my name is Fabio Lima.
And what would you like to talk about today? Just a brief overview.
We extend our yard, and we were having problems because we were too close to the wetland. So we cleaned it. We filled the application online, the RDA, the newspaper thing, and something else.
Joe, do you have any other observations about this one?
Yeah, so I guess before discussing this, did you provide a butter notification?
We applied on Saturday. We haven't got we paid the fee and everything, but we haven't got an email or anything.
Okay. So, yeah, the abutters need to be notified prior to making a decision on the project. So they need to be notified at least 1 week prior to the public hearing. So because that's not satisfied, we would have to give them time to know about the project.
And I understand it's my fault because I didn't see your email.
Yeah,
I just
yep.
been busy at work and I
Yep.
didn't.
Yes.
So what you have to do is just the legal ad, you can just distribute those copies to the abutters.
Okay. So they only gave me one. I gotta make copies.
What's that?
They only gave me one copy of the. Oh, you mean not the newspaper ad? You mean the
No,
body?
you can use the newspaper ad, the
Okay.
same text.
Okay, so I gotta make copies because they only gave me one.
Not of the physical newspaper, but the same document that was placed in the newspaper. I can send it to you in an
Okay.
email, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
But I don't know if the commission wants to discuss the project without the abutters being notified, but,
I say we just,
Wait.
we wait.
okay.
I agree.
All right, so, sorry to do this, but, yeah, I think we'll continue this to the next available meeting to get, everybody will have the chance to, that wants to know about it, will get the chance to
No
know about
problem.
it. All right, so in that case, could I have a motion, where am I, to continue this request for determination of applicability for Fabio Lima to 37 River Road, assessors map 27, lot 19, to the next available meeting?
Is this a public hearing?
This is a public hearing.
Do we not want to open it up yet, or?
I mean, technically, it's been opened.
Yeah, you can continue public hearing, 'cause I think.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if there's anyone in the public that wanted to come up and speak on this item.
Well, I guess I will open it up right now. If there's anybody from the public who would like to speak, now's your time to do so, but you will get another chance at one of the next meetings. I'm not going to close it just yet. So in that case, could I have a motion to continue the public hearing and request for determination of applicability for Fabio Lima, 237 River Road, assessors map 27, lot 19, to the next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item F, public hearing, request for determination of applicability, U.S. Pavement Services of Woburn, Massachusetts, 632 Woburn Street, assessors map 2, lot 34. Is there anybody here for that? Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Yep, Jamie, I'm the Director of Administration at US Pavement.
And what would you like to do today?
So we are currently, or it's on pause, working on a project to reclaim, grade, and pave the existing parking lot area and roadway around Building 3 of that property. So at the start of the project, we had an erosion plan that we followed, silt sacks, straw wattle all around the property to protect that. Joe visited the property and suggested that we come down and apply for the permit, so that's why we're here today.
Any questions or comments from the commission? Before I open it up to Joe. Joe, do you have any comments?
So the applicant had proposed repaving a portion of a commercial facility in the buffer zone of wetlands. The applicant was caught conducting the activity without a permit, who then followed the direction of the conservation agent to file the RDA in a timely manner, hence why they're here. The sediment controls were implemented from the moment that I got there, so there was already straw wattles staked around the perimeter. And silt sacks were also installed into the catch basin, so from an erosion and sediment perspective, it was good. It was just didn't have the negative determination of applicability, so hence why they're here. Other than that, I don't have any comments.
So we're not adding anything, we're just removing and repaving?
Yes,
Okay.
the same
Existing.
dimensions. Yep,
I-
existing.
I'd probably just like to do a follow-up site visit, because my understanding is that the paving is already completed, so,
Only the binder course,
Okay.
we haven't topped the project. So
Okay.
the binder course and the berm have been done, but the top, we stopped until we had this
Okay.
in place.
so I would just want to do a follow-up site visit once the work's done.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, any other questions or comments from the commission?
I have none.
I'm good.
All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody from the public who would like to make a comment, now is the time to do so. Not seeing anybody, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability for U.S. Pavement Services of Woburn, Mass., 632 Woburn Street, Assessors Map 2, Lot 34?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. And now, could I have a motion to continue notice of intent Civil Design Consultants, Inc. of Andover, Massachusetts, on behalf of Treehouse Brewing Company, Charlton, Massachusetts, 1879 Main Street, Assessors Map 84, Lot 18, DP file number 305-1185 to the next meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Could I have a motion to continue notice of intent, VHB Watertown, Massachusetts, on behalf of David DiCenzo of DAN Realty LLC, Wilmington, Massachusetts, 1695 Shawshene Street, Assessors Map 113, Lot 22, DP file number 305-1183 to the next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Could I have a motion to continue the public hearing, notice of intent, Bales Associates, Inc., Boston, Massachusetts, on behalf of Holt and Bugby Company, Tewksbury, Massachusetts, 1600 Shawshene Street, Assessors Map 112, Lot 4, DEP file number 305-1181 to the next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And finally, could I have a motion to continue public hearing, notice of intent, Bales Associates, Inc., Boston, Massachusetts, on behalf of National Development, Newton, Massachusetts, 1600 Shawshene Street, Assessors Map 112, Lot 4, DEP file number 305-1182 to the next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, now, this is agenda item K, violation notice, Bethany McGoldrick, 19 Pond Street, Assessors Map 31, Lot 8. Is there anybody here for that?
Bethany McGoldrick, 19 Pond Street.
Thank you. So Our understanding is that you put fill and, what's the term for it?
Loam.
Yeah, loam onto your property without the proper permits. Is that the gist of it?
I guess so. I didn't realize I needed a permit. I was bettering the lawn. It was previously lawn. I have pictures that I can show you that it was as green as could be, lawn. Joe actually has those photos from years before, and I was reseeding.
You're reseeding, all right. Joe, do you have any?
I did have a site visit by Joe, and I received an email prior to that with concerns of any runoff, so I did instill wattles around the areas where the loom was placed. There was one area that I needed just one other strip of wattle, and I did so.
Yeah, so just as a little background, so at the last Conservation Commission meeting, we had discussed this project or violation in the context of there's an exemption for the application of ground cover. That term ground cover was discussed to see if that was an exempt activity or what constituted ground cover. So the commission at the time thought that the soil applied in the backyard wasn't considered ground cover, or that it exceeded whatever term that referred to, and therefore wouldn't be an exempt activity. So I guess what the commission should consider now is, you know, if this project was proposed prior to it happening, how would the commission handle it? Would it be like, no, you can't do this? Or would it be a permittable activity that just requires the filing of an RDA with appropriate sediment controls, protecting the nearby wetlands and pond? As the applicant mentioned, I have been out to the site even prior to this. It is existing, or it seems to be existing lawn where the soil was placed. Another observation I made during my site visit was probably 2 to 3 inches in depth of where some of the soil was applied, so 2 to 3 inches of added soil on top of the grass. But it's just, does the commission think that this should be, again, if the project was proposed to the commission, is it, no, this can't happen? And if that's the route, then it's, that soil's taken off of the property, or if it's a permittable activity, then we go down that route.
Joe, based on your site visit with the applicant, was some areas deeper than others? Like as you get closer to the pond, was that trying to fill in voids, or was that more just leveling off the ground? I guess, because you said the grass is green, why would you reseed and do all this extra work if it was already a green grass?
Because my ex-husband took very good care of that area, and it wasn't it wasn't looking like it used to. If I can just show you.
If I remember correctly, isn't planting a lawn not expressly forbidden under this ground covering?
That is the exact area, and Joe can confirm that that is the area that.
Remember, it was basically installing a lawn was one of the no-nos here?
Oh, is it turf?
Yeah, the turf,
Yeah.
which is a lawn.
Yeah, your phone back.
I think that if you had come to this board before doing it, we would have asked for a notice of, not a notice of intent, RDA to be filed, and that would go with the straw wattles. But ultimately, it's a lawn. I don't personally have much issue with it, but anybody else on the commission?
It's just hard to tell now because you don't know how much, even though there was a lawn previously, you don't know how much fill was truly put in these areas. And since they are so close to a pond, you could defer water into other people's yards. I think that's my bigger issue on this topic. Like you said, if it was done beforehand, we would at least know what the regrading plan was and what's happening now. The fact that it's after the fact, you don't truly know. I mean, all you can see from these pictures is it was green and now there's dirt, but you don't truly know how much dirt was put in there.
You can see that there's, wasn't too much brought in, if you look at the picture as far as the roots. I don't know what picture I'm on, it's, but the roots of the tree are still quite exposed, you know. Not like she went up the tree.
Yeah, so around those areas, but those aren't close to the straw wattles in that area. That's what I'm more concerned about. Like the middle of the yard further away isn't the big deal to me. I mean, we don't have any good close-up pictures like closer to where the waterway is and what's put there.
I have a picture as I left the house too, if that's helpful.
I think we have pictures of, when I did my site visit, I took pictures of just like, you know, spatial extent of where it's at.
Well, I apologize if I was to get a permit. I truly did not realize that.
Well, I think this property had you went for a permit on a deck. So, and you are in the water, it's obvious. I'm not a big fan, I mean, because it wasn't done straight up.
So I guess what are we thinking for the solution to this? Is it to remove fill, and where would that be, or permanent, in some other way?
Well, I hate to use the term common sense here. What are you thinking, Evan?
Is this a floodplain at all, Joe? Like, is there any compensatory storage, so even if the fill's there, that if you get a wetland a scientist or engineer to say that the added fill is not going to impact the floodplain at all, or push what?
It's just marked in the 500-year floodplain. So I don't know where the,
100-year would be. Yeah, because if there was some calculation on saying this isn't impacting, pushing the floodplain to other people's houses, and the fills, it's almost de minimis fill like we were talking about the last project. The last project was just one or two posts, so there's not gonna be any regrading, where here you don't really know what the regrading truly is, because the pictures are taken after the fact. And I think, to everyone's point on the Conservation Commission, if it was done beforehand, we would have a good idea of what was coming in and what work was actually done. Which now we're just, at least for me, I'm just looking at pictures and trying to be a forensic detective here and try to figure out how much was in, how much didn't come in, which makes this difficult on my decision. So I'm kind of leaning on Steve's side too, that I'm not super pleased with the process more than the actual work itself, because now we're just guessing.
No, I understand that. As I said, I did not realize I needed to do that prior to. I don't know what else I can say about that.
So I guess if a wetland scientist came out there and,
If there was confirmation for me, if there was confirmation from an engineer or wetland scientist saying the work done did not provide negative impacts to the floodplain or where the pond goes, then almost in an RDA, not necessarily removing the loam yet, but just kind of getting that clarification. I think for me, that would help me kind of just look at these pictures with someone at least doing more. I'm not sure how many augers you took, Joe, or to try to figure out the depth.
I beliuld I took 2 just to.
Yeah, so if there was someone that went out there and did enough to kind of just verify that would, on my end, that would satisfy me. I'm not sure how other people feel.
That's where I'm leaning, is, after the fact on this one is just, it's just too broad.
so at this point, it's already there. If a wetland scientist went out and, viewed it and determined that, yes, this is going to push the water elsewhere into other people, other places, would you have permitted it in that case, even if we had that understanding that
We
this
would,
would?
I think we
probably.
would have permitted it.
You would,
It depends. I mean, it depends kind of to the
Right.
extent of what that report really says. I mean, if you're saying in a 10-year rain event or a 10-year pond level, then it's pushing water out. But or if you're talking about a 6-month level of frequency, then it's pushing stuff out. I think it would vary drastically depending on the frequency essentially, too.
You know, and I'd also like to know exactly what's under that dirt that's been brought in. Do we have stone under there? Do we have something else that we're not aware of? Again, it's post-event.
all right, so are we recommending a RDA be filed with and a wetland scientist to review the area and determine the flood storage implications?
I think it's either that or remove the loan.
Yeah, so I guess that's I think you have the option of, I don't know how much you want to, how possible it is to remove the loam, if that's what you would rather do, you have that option, or it's hire a wetland scientist to make these calculations. If you,
I'm paying for a scientist.
what's that?
I'm not sure what you're stating I need to do.
So you have two options. You can either remove the loam to where the yard was before.
Because you guys,
Because we don't know what work was done. Or you get proof that the work done doesn't impact the wetlands or the flood area around your property.
if you want that, then I guess that's what you should do. Prove that it doesn't impact. I'm not really sure. I don't have the money for that, for a scientist.
So,
So the only option
Yeah.
is to remove the loan.
Somebody can remove it. I don't have money for that either. I'm not really sure what you're,
Joe, do you want to go over the next
yeah, like
steps?
what's the,
I mean, the solution isn't dependent on whether it's affordable. Like, the commission's decision on what an appropriate, like, mitigation or restoration measure isn't dependent on whether it's affordable or not. So I would recommend the commission just make their decision independent of that.
I think
So
that
whatever
is
you-
our decision.
That is our
essentially.
decision.
All right,
Yep.
so,
That's what I'm saying. What are the next steps essentially?
of
Or
not,
that's my decision. I can't speak for
Yeah.
the rest of the board.
so, I mean, next steps would be, the violation notice. If you don't comply, obviously we're going down enforcement order, potential ticketing, other, monetary implications. But I guess one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So I'll make a motion. We don't ratify the violation notice, right? We just,
no.
no, but it's up to the commission if you want to go with an enforcement order or violation notice, or just agree.
so you
Yeah.
guys vote? Because it seemed like 3 people seemed there wasn't a real big concern about it, and then there's 2 people that, do you guys vote
yes.
on the
I don't vote.
decision? That's unfortunate, because when you came out, you didn't think it was a concern.
No, I stated the facts, which are, which was discussed at the last meeting, of there's a term in the bylaw that needs to be deliberated upon by the commission. So,
I'm going, yeah, you got it.
I'll make a motion to issue a violation or enforcement order. Is that the right terminology?
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, so at this point, we didn't really discuss exactly what the enforcement order would entail. So I guess it's going to be,
I think it would be as, I mean, I didn't say as discussed in my motion, but
Yeah.
pretty much as discussed, either move forward with an RDA or remove the loan from the property.
Move forward with an RDA with the engineer and scientist or?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
evaluation of
Yeah.
the flood area? Okay.
I should have said as discussed. but-
Okay.
all right,
That's it?
yeah, that's,
Okay.
you'll be getting, I guess, the enforcement order information soon enough, and I would still say you have those two options that you can, get the wetland scientist to, make a determination, or not a determination, but to inspect it and see what the flood storage will be. Or you can look into, removing as much of the loam as possible.
That would protect the land, digging up dirt, but sure. All right. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, where are we? Violation notice, agenda item L, violation notice, Matthew Langone, 465 River Road, assessors map 40, lot 60. Is there anybody here for that? Hello, could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Matthew Langoni.
And why are you here today?
I just bought a property at 465 River Road, 3.5 acres, all upland. And I met with Joe, somebody called, Joe came out. I was in the process of putting in a garden it's basically a cleared field. So I was stripping the grass and putting in a garden. I had some plants in, I had a pump in there's like a pond next to the wetland, so I had a pump in there, like a sump pump, pumping water to the plants. And then I had cut some dead trees. I planned on putting up, this area is like 56 feet from the 100-foot buffer, or the beginning of it is. I cut 5 trees that were dead, that were a lot closer to the wetlands, like basically right along the property line, and right on the other side, probably 10 feet away, is the pond. And then all the grass that I stripped, I put on, like in the back left corner of the property, I put, basically in a pile. And on the other side, there's a wall that goes around the entire property. So on the other side of the wall, there's another wetland, more or less around the whole wall, like not the whole wall, but I'd say a good chunk of it. There's wetlands on the outer side. So yeah, I had a pile over in the back left corner. What else? Cut some trees down, yeah. They were outside beside the 5 trees, they were outside the buffer.
Yeah, it's on these pictures.
No, that's not very
Isn't it?
I just don't have the folder in my drive.
Are we on M?
Thought we were on L.
Oh, L. That makes more sense. I was like, that's a huge garden.
So it sounds like it's unpermitted activity you are doing. Joe,
Yeah.
for this, the tree cutting, we would typically not have any big issues with, but if you want to speak about it.
Yeah, so I guess, sorry for not including the pictures. But basically, the applicant kind of stated all the violations that were observed. Violations were first observed about a month ago, because I was just brought to my attention that there was some like digging going on. Visited the site. So it was the installation of like a large garden. It's more, I don't know what the correct term is, but it's a decent sized garden or small crop. But yes, it is about 50 to 60 feet away from a wetland. It was just an amount of disturbance that would normally require a permit, something like an RDA, just so that it could be in front of the commission and be a permittable activity. Yes, there was some trees cut, 4 to 5 trees cut, the soil stockpiling as well. The soil stockpile is now vegetated. But I believe that soil stockpile is probably like 20 or 25 feet away from a nearby wetland. So fast forward a month from now, that the garden area is all mulched. So I don't perceive that area as a threat for any sedimentation to the nearby wetlands.
So all the work essentially happened around the 50-foot or 50 to 100-foot
Yeah.
buffer, and then some soil got pushed beyond that a little bit.
Some soil stockpiling, 20 to 25 feet is now.
So is that soil stockpile gone at this point or spread out?
I didn't touch it after
Okay.
yeah,
So-
so, I mean, it's just a pile of grass at this, like, it's all growing, because it was all just ripped up grass, so now it's just, like a pile of loam with grass growing
So
on
it
it.
doesn't sound, I mean, we don't have the pictures, but it doesn't sound like from the conversation there's any significant disturbance to the wetlands. My only suggestion would be to remove that debris outside of the 20-foot buffer and pretty much push that away from the wetland and not have any of the debris in the 25-foot buffer.
Okay.
And did you say you have a wall around the property? It's not a
Yeah,
fence?
it's like a, it's
like a
it's a
retaining
large
wall?
field, so whoever did it back in the day, all the rocks, they built the wall going around the perimeter of the
Oh.
property, so it's a, yeah, it's just a boulder wall, or a rock wall. But, yeah.
And were you diverting water into the wetlands or draining?
No, I just took the grass off as little as I could, because I want the soil there, but I don't want the grass, because I don't want the grass growing in the garden.
I think you mentioned a sump pump, is that where you're going?
Yeah.
Where was the sump pump pumping to the wetlands or pumping from the wetlands to your
No, I was
garden?
pumping from the wetlands.
Oh,
So I can,
Yeah, I got rid of the sump pump. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. I got water coming from a well.
yeah, so I can confirm that. When I originally went out, yes, there was a pump in there. I'd advised them to take the pump out, and then, you know, when I went out there again, which was a week or so ago, the pump was removed. So,
yeah, none of this sounds like anything that we would have that big of an issue with, as long as you stay away from the wetlands and not add more or take water away from the wetlands.
Yeah, leave it alone,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
so that being said, I always would approach this with like, if this were asked of the commission if prior to this happening, how would the commission act?
Yeah, I know in the past we've just done RDAs to kind of,
Yeah.
just, the work was done in RDA just for our files to cover it, and that's
Yeah.
probably what I would recommend here. It doesn't sound like there's anything bad, but just file an RDA for the process so that we have backup, a kind of, and describing exactly what work was done, I think would be appropriate here.
Okay.
We all on the same
Yeah,
page about
yeah,
that?
absolutely.
We're not removing any stumps, right? Any,
All right, yeah, so that's our recommendation. Please file an RDA with us. And I can't speak to that right now, but it seems like a pretty standard RDA that will go
Okay.
through quickly.
So I can be in coordination with you and send you the link to file the permit and stuff.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
All right, agenda item M, violation.
Are you able to ask a question on that?
He just left,
It's also a public meeting,
There'll be,
not a public hearing.
yeah,
there'll be a public hearing on his RDA, correct?
Yep.
yeah.
I just wanted to ask, how long is this gonna go on for? It's been 2 months of machine. He's got like a front end loader and a dump truck out there that goes 7 days a week, all day. With the beep, 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 and my cell phone, my neighbor back there. We live next door to him and I hear it all day.
Yep.
So-
For, only for this garden?
Yeah, well, the garden is huge, it's bigger than.
If you're going to speak, can you
Yeah.
please go to the mic and introduce your name for the record? Can you please go to the mic and introduce yourself for the record?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tom Economo. I live at 147 Sawyer's Lane. Right, I abut his land, and there's like that pond that he's talking about. It goes like from about closer than that wall there to my land, and he's right on the other side. But the machinery has been running for 7 weeks, all day. And he starts about 7 in the morning. And today he was out there like flying around like a maniac trying to.
So thank you for speaking, and we appreciate you coming. That's kind of outside of our jurisdiction. Like the
Yeah.
chair said, when the RDA is filed, you can come speak on it. I advise you reach out to a different division within Tewksbury to file
What
that
division would
complaint.
that be?
Joe, do you have any recommendations of who we should
Building,
reach out?
zoning?
Buildings or zoning?
The
yeah.
noise, yeah, because it's.
Yeah, so reach out to buildings or zoning,
That's
I
outside our
think.
purview, but
Okay,
building
yeah.
and zoning would be,
So who would I speak to about that?
Yeah, probably building department or zoning
Building
department.
department, okay.
We can figure it out.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I figured you.
I wish I could give you a specific name, but I don't know.
If there's trucks running next door to you all of a sudden.
we're sympathetic to it, but it's outside
Yeah, so
our.
I just wanted to come to the meeting to see what was going on, you know? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Agenda item M, violation, notice Gino and Pemba, 10 Star Avenue, Assessors Map 88, Lot 3. Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Yeah, Gino Wimpemba. I live at 10 Star Avenue.
And why are you here today? This is,
So I guess there's a violation against something I did on my lot of land. About a year ago, I had to relocate a pool. I came before the board, they approved the variance, we moved it to the middle of the yard, so on and so on. What I tried to do was level my lot. There's an erosion going in the back corner of my lot. The soil is eroding, and I wanted to level the lot, plant some grass, put in a nice little patio and so on. So what I did was I brought in about 10, 12, maybe 14 yards of fill. And I proceeded to push it to the perimeter of the yard where I was mowing for the last 27 years. So the land was usable. I mean, it was growing grass. I had a garden out there. I used a bobcat to push it to the perimeter with the intent to grade it back. And then I was gonna bring in a landscaper, which I have contracted, a guy right here in Tewksbury, McLeod Landscaping, to come in and landscape the lot. And he was gonna come before you people and get a permit. I don't know if he's done that yet or not, but he tells me that it's gonna happen somewhere the second week in July, that he's gonna start the work. That was supposed to happen the last week in June, but it's now pushed out to July. So what happened was, we couldn't get the machine. We had a bobcat with wheels, and we couldn't grade the soil back. So I was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, so I went and I hired this landscaper to help me do that. In the interim, Joe showed up and said that I violated wetland rules. I said, all I did was put dirt on my lot. I said, I don't know what you're talking about violating any rules. It's my land. I put dirt on it. I went to the perimeter of where it was always, landscaped and what have you. I said, I don't know what I did wrong. And he proceeded to tell me. He was very good about it, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about Joe or the department or any, the Conservation Division or whatever. All I know is, that's all I did was push 14 yards of fill to the perimeter, got stuck not being able to bring it back because the soil was too soft for a Bobcat with wheels. I needed a track, but I didn't have a track. This was a friend of mine that had connections with a construction company that borrowed the machine. So in the interim, I tried to accommodate Joe. He told me I needed to put up a silt fence, which was not the easiest thing in the world to do. I had to go down into the wet area and stake it out and what have you, and I did that. He claims I did it wrong. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a landscaper, and I'm not a builder, so I don't know what I did wrong, but I did make every effort in trying to correct the situation, okay? And now I'm hiring a professional to do just that.
All right.
And he's gonna come to you for permitting and all that. I didn't know I had to get a permit to put soil on my lot.
Yeah, and depending on where you live, you wouldn't need to do that,
Yeah,
but your property abuts or has wetlands in it.
yeah. So I've been told, I guess, 27 years ago, when I wanted to buy the lot next to me, I was told it's just a runoff area from a sewer that was put in. It runs down, lands in the corner of my backyard, it lands there. It then is supposed to be rerouted under a pipe, under the lot, down to the next level, down towards the Shawshene Road. But I don't think that pipe has ever been cleaned out in the 27 years I've been there, so it's not doing what it's supposed to do to run off and drain out. So I guess it caused a wetland. It never was a wetland, it was just a wooded area. And now, over 27 years that I've been there, the laws have changed. And I understand that too, I get that, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm just complaining about the fact that I couldn't put dirt on my lot to the perimeter. I didn't push it into the wetland, I got it at the perimeter, at least I think I did. Did I violate? You'd have to draw a line in the sand. I mean, nobody was there before it happened, I know where the line was, and that's where I'm at, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and, I mean, unfortunately for a lot of people in Tewksbury, you know, if a wetland develops, you
Yeah.
still have a wetland.
I
If
get
the
it,
sea
yep.
level rises and suddenly, you know, Tewksbury is a coastal town,
Yep,
we'll have
whether
to
it
deal
was
with all this stuff.
manufactured or not, I get it.
But, so it sounds like you have,
All I was trying to do was level that lot though. Like I said, the erosion was getting a little disturbing to me, and I wanted to level the lot and have some nice grass. And, you know, about 35 or 40 feet away from there is where I was gonna put a patio next to that pool that I rerouted. You know, trying to make a decent backyard and a good place to live.
so you already have somebody,
Yeah, I got McLeod Landscaping right from Tewksbury. I got a bid from him, I accepted the bid, and he told me he was gonna get the permits and start. Originally, he was supposed to start the last week of June. I recently called him and said, are we still on track? And he said, I'm looking probably more like the second week of July. But I don't even know if he's been in to pick up the, you know, to apply for the permits. And with this violation, I don't even know if you're gonna issue a permit.
so this is, we don't know where the wetland lines actually lie.
Yeah.
And how close this fill is to the, you know, vegetated wetlands.
Correct.
So typically what would happen is you would come up with some type of narrative, you'd say, this is what I want to do, and depending on how close to the wetlands you are, we would either say, yes, that's allowed, or no, that's not allowed.
Yeah.
But also give you the chance to reconfigure your plans to, you know, comply with Massachusetts wetland laws and stuff.
My point is this, you can't keep letting the wetland take my land. I mean, it's encroaching my land. I mean, it's just growing and growing. What am I supposed to do about that? I'm supposed to lose the land that I bought and paid for and pay taxes on? That doesn't make any sense. All we need is a little fill, build it up. Now, I get your point. Determine a perimeter of some type, and I can probably grade that back, but I mean, I'll leave that to the professional. That's why he's gonna come in here and apply for a permit, and then you can give him instruction on how we can proceed. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, and I hear you about the, you know, losing your land. I'll tell you that this commission is not just a fun idea that the town had one day, and that's why we're here. It's the state of Massachusetts, every town has to do this. So if it's not us, it would be DP, telling you what to do. And
I think I got nothing better to do.
so,
I'm a small little 15,000 square foot lawn. I mean, well, 20 if you count part of the wetland, because my yard does go back into the wetland, which I don't even go near. I mean, no.
So it sounds like you're going through all the right steps, though.
Yeah.
You're
What's
getting-
that?
It sounds like you're going through the right steps. You're getting a
I'm trying.
contractor on board, you're going through the
After Joe
permits,
showed
so.
up, I said, Joe, I'm gonna get the right guy. I mean,
Yeah.
at first he wanted me to do it. I'm like, well, I'm 65 years old. I don't think I can go into the wetland with a shovel and pull it out, And I couldn't get the tractor that I had, I couldn't get it to work properly because it was too soft. I had the wheels and it just kept on spinning and actually ruined my lot, believe it or not. So I would like for McLeod to get his permit and do what he's supposed to do. And if he needs direction from you on how that's to be done, that's fine with me. I mean,
so my biggest concern is that it's great that you've, gotten somebody to come out
Yeah.
and, plan on doing this. But have you engaged with a wetland scientist of any sort?
the only one I've talked to is Joe. Joe showed up and he instructed me what I did wrong. I didn't know, there's nothing in the homeowner's manual that tells me how to deal with the wetland
Yeah.
and landscaping and
So
all
I think
that.
if your contractor's in contact with Joe, he'll guide
Well,
you down the right steps.
I
and be
imagine he
able to-
will be when he comes in for the permit. Do you know if he has applied yet?
He has not.
He has not?
No.
Okay, I'll call him and find out why he hasn't. I know he said he was swamped, but he's right here in Tewksbury,
So I just
Scott
have,
McLeod.
I have a few comments if I could. So yeah, when the violation was originally noticed, I observed just fill in that area, like just soil being pushed around with a bobcat. So then when I went out to the site, some soil was pushed over into the wetland.
I'm not gonna say yes or no, I don't know. I mean, if it was,
Yeah.
it couldn't have been more than a foot.
Yeah, I know, but
you-
it's still.
We determined that, I
Yeah.
think.
So the original violation notice was to just scrape back whatever was pushed into the wetlands,
Yeah.
just keep it into the original boundary.
Right.
And at least put up a silt fence.
It did.
So he definitely did put up a silt fence in a timely fashion. The silt fence wasn't installed appropriately, so that filter fabric needs to be entrenched into the ground.
Yeah.
But again,
prob-
yes, the effort was there.
I understood that too when you told me, but the problem was, if you go to the site, you'll see it's all roots from all the trees that are out there. I couldn't get it down into the ground. All I could do was get it where I got it. I got the stakes in and the fencing is there, but I mean, it was,
So I would say that, that there still needs to be some sort of sediment control there. It can't just like sit there over time while you're trying to get your permits and stuff.
I tried to get
We all-
wattles too. I couldn't get wattles anywhere.
The commission just needs to know exactly what you want to do.
Well, I'll draw back the soil. I'll bring it back, grade it back like I had planned and intended, and I'll pull it back. You talk about a buffer zone, but that doesn't mean anything to me. I mean,
Okay?
I don't know what that calls for. But I'm sure McLeod does, and I'm sure he'll follow direction. I mean, he knows, he's the one that told me, he says, you might be in for a battle. He says, what you did. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, can you fix it? He said, yeah, I can fix it.
All right.
So that's what he said he was gonna do.
We just need, so in the interim, my recommendation would be to, I guess, execute the violation notice, which is establish that silt fence or straw wattle appropriately.
Yep.
Rake back that soil that's into the wetland a little bit. And
Yep.
then come to the commission with the plan of, I want to do X, Y, Z, and then the commission can make their judgment from there.
Yep.
That'd be my recommendation.
Accurate.
I agree with that.
When you say make judgment, what do you say, I can't do the landscaping I wanna do?
But, well, it depends on what you're proposing.
Oh,
It,
just like I said, covering, leveling that corner, planting grass, and having the yard be, nice. I mean, the patio that I'm planning is like a good 30 feet away from that, 35 feet away.
Right, so all of these things need to be put on a plan and need to be
Yeah.
more specific.
I think he is, but I will
Yeah.
talk to him about that, yeah. I mean, I thought he did that already, because he told me he was gonna start the week of the end of the month. I would have thought he would have already applied for it, but I'll call him. These guys are hard to get a hold of.
Oh, the rain's killing everybody.
It's killing, I know.
Scott, he's fine. I know the kid.
You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good
He
guy.
knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So, that's the plan, okay.
All right, it sounds like, yeah, everything is proceeding as we would.
Never tried to deceive the town, believe me when I tell you, I don't need that kind of problem. I just didn't know you needed permits to put down soil. I mean, every year I put down loam all over the yard, planting areas, just to try to get some clean grass, but I didn't know that it was a violation.
State requirements.
We didn't hear that.
You didn't want to hear that, I know. I talk 5 yards at a time, maybe. Mulch too, is that a problem? You can't put down mulch, or is that a permit?
Don't put anything in the wetlands.
No, I'm not even talking about near, I never even go near that corner of the lot, except we had a garden out there, because it was wet all the time, so we planted a garden, but that land was starting to sink. Anyways, you know what happened, you know why it happened, and I throw the mercy at the court,
We appreciate you coming, but yeah, it sounds like everything's
Okay.
working to,
Yeah.
some sort of
And
conclusion.
I'll try to expedite him on his services, we'll see what we can do. Great,
Thank you.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item N, enforcement order, Kevin O'Brien of O'Brien Homes, Inc., Andover, Massachusetts, Foster Lane, map 24, lot 26. Mr. Sheehan is recusing himself.
We got more pictures?
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
All right, so where do we stand? Could you just introduce yourself for the record, please?
Mr. Chairman, board members, my name is Kevin O'Brien from O'Brien Homes. I am the owner of the property, well, my wife's the owner of the property, but it's hers is mine, I guess, I think. This is an enforcement order that I got on Foster Lane up in North Tewksbury. The plans, the pictures that I just gave you are pictures from this morning. I know Joe and I were out there last week, excuse me, and he probably has some pictures, but I did these this morning so the board can see that the work that was done, the cleanup that was done and seeded is actually sprouting a little bit. You can see the little green spots, so it is taking all the work that we did.
All right. Joe, do you have any questions or comments?
So just to quickly bring the commission up to speed on this. So at the last Conservation Commission meeting, we had amended the existing enforcement order. I guess I'll just read the condition. So in addition to what was originally placed into the enforcement order, the commission had decided, or sorry, this is on May 24th, 2023, I think. Yeah. So a restoration plan shall be developed by a wetland scientist to address this enforcement order. The wetland scientist shall meet with the conservation agent on site to discuss the details of the restoration plan. At the discretion of the conservation agent, if the restoration plan discussed while on site is deemed sufficient and is more beneficial from a wetland resource area protection perspective, to begin restoration efforts prior to the commission's review of the restoration plan, the restoration efforts may begin provided that all appropriate permissions from land/property owners where said efforts will occur are obtained. Regardless of the conservation agent's discretion on when to initiate restoration efforts, the restoration plan shall be presented to the commission. And number 2 was restoration efforts that have occurred from the issuance of the enforcement order to the date of the 5/24/2023 Conservation Commission meeting shall be documented within a report and presented to the Conservation Commission. So what the violator has presented to the commission to date is a report from Norse Environmental basically addressing the second condition that I just read off there, which was a summary of the work that was conducted to date. So from the last meeting where this project was discussed, there wasn't any coordination for me to be out there. This is all work that had already been conducted prior to the last time this was discussed. And the dates are given in the report. So, correct me if I'm wrong as I'm saying this, but Norris Environmental wasn't out there to observe some of the soil being removed from the area subject to the enforcement order. Norris Environmental wasn't there for the seeding, but nonetheless, it's within the report, and the violator claims that, some of the soil has been removed and has been seeded. Based off of my site visit last week or the week prior, I forget, it did look like some soil was removed. It did look like there was some seed application to this area, evidenced by some of the plants that are coming up in the area. I did advance some augers within the affected area. It does still look like there's 6 inches of soil above some of where I perceive previous native soil to be. But
Mr. Chairman, I think if the board remembers, I was here a couple of meetings ago, and when we discussed the enforcement order and the work had been done, I think it was 3 meetings ago when I first came, and then the 2 meetings ago when I came, we had already done the work, and that's when the board requested that I get Maureen to go out there and look at it, and that's what we've done. Yes, the Maureen was not there when I physically did the work. She wasn't there when I did the seeding. So in the package, what we gave you is the invoice that I had from New England Soils, I believe, or New England Wetlands Plants. The board can see that in that report, the stuff is very expensive. I think it was the tune of 2 pounds of it was $340. It goes 2,500 square feet, I believe, per pound. I didn't have close to that out there as far as the area, so I just used the entire 2 pounds on probably, I would say anywhere from 500 to 600, 700 square feet. So it's real fine seed. So when Joe and I were out there, we really didn't see it. It's hard enough just scattering it with your hand because it falls out as you're just trying to scatter it because it's so fine. But I can tell you that I did it. What Joe and I also talked about in the field is that we monitor it to see that it takes, and I think, with the pictures I just showed you, those were taken this morning. It does show that it's growing. So, I mean, it's not the way it was before all the soil went in there, but hopefully it's going to look that way soon.
So I think the only thing that differs between the enforcement order and what was done is a restoration plan. Or kind of even if you did things without a restoration plan, I know Norris Environmental describe all activities, but they don't say that this is recommended or this is the right approach. And I think that's something, if that could be added to the report, just kind of getting Norris Environmental's approval saying this is the right approach for the restoration plan.
So, I'm sorry, I have hearing aids, so
The restoration plan, there's no restoration plan, I guess. So the work,
you want a restoration plan,
or at least get approval from Norris saying the work done would be what they would recommend.
Perfect.
Right, does that make sense, Joe?
yeah, so that's kind of what the commission should decide is what's done okay?
I was gonna say, I'm not a wetland scientist, so if a
Right,
wetland
yeah,
scientist signs off on the work that was done, I would feel good about the work. I mean, you took the effort, you planted the seed, I just don't know, is that the right approach?
So she did the plan. Now let's verify that what she said on the plan is done.
Is there a plan?
No, so she
She did a
documented what
report,
happened.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
the report just describes the activities, doesn't say,
Let's-
I would recommend that this is the right approach and this is the right way to do
What
it.
I recommended was, or even what I recommended was done, and
Correct, yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, my point would be to specifically address like whether if no more soil was removed, would it still be considered a wetland if it flourished if the seed took, basically? So I guess it sounds like the commission just wants additional verification from Norse saying that their recommendations on what the restoration plan would be and if what's done is adequate.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you do me a favor? Can you put that in an email to me?
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna
I'll forward
watch
it
this
to
in
Maureen.
12 hours and know exactly what I just
That
said.
way, that way she gets it and
Right. Or she could pick up the phone and call them.
doesn't get lost in translation. I think I get it, though.
And then, as the applicant suggested, though, continued monitoring the typical, you know, it has to be sustained over, you know, at least 2 growing seasons.
We have no intention on doing any more work out there right now. We're, as the board probably knows, we're in discussions on whose road it is and if I have rights and all that, so I have talked to your town manager and said that I would do what I did, especially, you know, it was required by you all, and I said I wouldn't do any more work out there until I get that resolved, so we'll have plenty of time to keep an eye on it.
All right.
Unfortunately, I'll have plenty of time to keep an eye on
Let the
it.
dust settle, yep.
So this enforcement order has already been ratified.
Yeah, so this is more.
Yeah, this is an update.
Yeah, an update.
All right, well, we appreciate the update. And yeah,
We'll get that, I'll get that final letter or
Yeah.
input from Maureen, I'll give it to you, and,
Excellent.
excellent, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
thank you.
Have a good night.
Agenda item O,
Want
emergency.
to see if Dennis is coming back?
Oh, yeah.
No, well, let's force him to come back. Oh, he heard us.
You didn't bring any back? Agenda item O, emergency certification, Central Massachusetts Mosquito Control Program for Shannon Cardoso, 100 Pinnacle Street, Assessors Map 77, Lot 23. Joe, could you fill us in
Yep.
on this one?
So this is a emergency certification issued for some breaching of a beaver dam in addition to the installation of a pond leveler device. So basically, I provided the commission some photos, I believe.
Yeah, backyard that's full.
Yeah, the backyards are like really bad.
Yep.
So it was deemed a threat to human health and safety. And again, that kind of allowed me to issue the emergency certification. So Central Mass Mosquito Control Program is the ones undertaking the work. So just like I said, they're breaching and installing a pond leveler device for like a long-term management solution.
Why is it Mass Mosquito doing the work and not?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Mass Mosquito deals with mosquitoes, which is associated with standing water, which you can tell from the photos that there are standing water in the backyards of Leighton Lane.
There's a surplus of it, yeah.
Yeah. So they also are experienced with the installation of the pond leveler devices and the breaching of beaver dams because, you know, this is a common situation to encounter in Massachusetts.
Good job.
So sorry, the conditions,
I was gonna say, I have no issues with the work, but why was it done in April and now submitted today?
hold on one
The
second.
site visit was 4/5, and now the application's done 2 months later.
So there was issues with them getting a contractor to, because at first they were working with someone else, that didn't end up working out.
Okay.
And then so Mass Mosquito kind of stepped in. But nonetheless, regardless of the time frame, like it was an emergency back then, it was still an emergency.
Correct,
a
it
month
was
ago.
just, yeah, it was an emergency, but now it's almost 3 months later, I was just curious.
So all of the work has been completed and it's just monitoring now, or?
I'm not sure. I think last week, or within the last week or so, they first started the process, which involves some damming, because you want to lower the water table a little bit before you do the pond leveler device installation. So I'm not sure where they are in the process.
Are those backyards dry now?
I don't know.
Hard to imagine with
That's
the
a
rain,
lot of water, yeah.
but better than having beavers back there.
Well, oh, sorry. I just wanted to read off. So yeah, for the emergency certification, the associated conditions are, 1, beaver dam breaching shall be conducted in accordance with the attached guidance document. And so that guidance document is kind of just like best management practices on how to breach a dam. Number 2, coordinate with the conservation agent both prior to and subsequent to dam breaching. Number 3, photographs of the beaver dam area shall be provided to the Conservation Commission / agent after the dam has been breached. And 4, accumulated sticks removed from the beaver dam shall be properly disposed of and or placed in an appropriate nearby upland area. That's it.
All right. Could I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification?
No, I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Agenda item P, emergency certification, Empire Construction of Tewksbury, Massachusetts, on behalf of Patsy Gincholo, 151 Helvetia Street, Assessors Map 60, Lot 112. Joe, could you fill us in on the details?
Yep. So this was an emergency certification issued for a failed septic system. So the health department issued an order for them to tie into the municipal sewer system. I followed up with my own emergency certification. This lot was a little unusual because they had to trench through a forest basically to get to the sewer lateral. But nonetheless, it was in buffer zone and, it's a failed septic system. So if the health department issues their order, I kind of defer to them. That's it. I think for.
Yeah, I saw the bobcat in the swamp, and I was curious.
Yeah, I was running by and I took
Yeah.
pictures ready to send them to you.
Should've gave me a
I
call.
saw the,
Kind of suspicious looking.
yeah.
So, the conditions for this emergency certification are installing a silt fence and/or straw wattle adjacent to the area of construction such that erosion of disturbed soils is not deposited within wetland resource areas. The silt fence and/or straw wattle is to be installed prior to beginning construction activities. Number 2, coordinate with the conservation agent once sediment controls are installed and prior to beginning construction activities. The conservation agent shall approve of the silt fence straw wattle location and installation. And number 3, removal of vegetation to conduct work shall be minimized as practicable. Disturbed areas shall be returned back to pre-existing conditions. And 4, the trench path from the dwelling to Helvetia Street is depicted in the attached documentation. So not really a condition, but.
That path doesn't go through the wetlands, right? That's just woods?
Yeah, it is just woods.
Okay.
I walked the path itself, it was previously marked out, and so I wanted to make sure it wasn't actually crossing a jurisdictional area.
Gotcha.
Which there was a small depression which which kind of looked like a wetland, but I included the photo of the soil, which it's an upland soil, so. That's it.
Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I'm good.
Could I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Agenda item Q, discuss changes to wetland protection bylaw regulations. Joe, did you ask us specifically to look at a few sections?
Potentially.
Did you have any, what specifics did you want to?
I guess just the notices and hearing, the exemptions and the application sections. Because one of the main updates to the bylaw and the regulations are to for the notices and hearing, to have RDAs be a public meeting rather than a public hearing, which is consistent with the Wetland Protection Act and the Wetland Protection Act regulations. So I feel like we more frequently deal with just homeowners who, at this meeting, there's like 4 or 5 individuals who didn't have the abutter notification requirement satisfied. So that would get rid of that requirement to send mailing to abutters, which is consistent with the Wetland Protection Act. So it just makes the process a little bit more easier for the homeowner. The exemptions are expanded upon in the updated bylaw and the regulations, which is consistent with the Wetland Protection Act. There are a few exceptions. Like, for example, we definitely expand the exemptions for like small projects. Like, a lot of it's related to like utility work, or someone who wants to redo their driveway, if it's an existing driveway. We didn't previously have that in our bylaw. I mean, there's a lot of information to go through, but I think these sections are the most pertinent for the updates. You guys have any questions on that, or?
No, I mean, I always open it up to public comment, but very rarely do, especially for RDAs. So I think that's a reflection of, you know, somebody redoing their driveway, somebody building a deck, that it's like, most people don't have any issues with their neighbors or concerns with their neighbors doing something like that. So, you know, we don't hear anything about there. If there was, even if it's a burden to the applicant to do that type of stuff, if we were continually getting a lot of feedback from other residents, I'd say, let's keep it, but we don't get either of them, so. And just making it easier on everybody.
So I did want to say that I'm probably gonna, or I will post the draft of the bylaw and the regulations and a document kind of explaining the differences to the town website, like the Conservation Commission page, just so that it's accessible to whoever wants to view it. And then, you know, potentially goes on to the town warrant for the next town meeting, so that the changes can be voted upon.
Is the only way for somebody to comment is to come to the meeting, or can they add comments directly via the website?
They wouldn't be able to add it directly via the website unless they want to email me through the website, which is still an option. But
Yeah, I'm not sure what type of comments would get if you could just anonymously
Yeah, I don't think that'd
write
be
whatever
good,
you want.
right?
So, you know, as much as I would like to have somebody, you know, come and discuss this, we don't, you know, proper channels, I guess. Which I will open it up. Are you here to discuss about the wetlands bylaws?
Well, I gotta be honest, I'm wondering if I'm in the right place, because I thought I saw on the agenda that you're gonna talk about the wooded lot on Shawshene that somebody was proposing cutting down to build a cannabis dispensary. Am I in the wrong place?
You are in the right place, but the wrong time. We did
That's a song, isn't it?
So it's not on, I guess it was on the agenda. It was one of the notice of intents that we continued to the next meeting. What was the issue? The stormwater compliance, they're still waiting on that?
yeah.
My apologies, I rushed through those.
I gotta be honest, I can't hear. You guys are soft-spoken. I mean, I'm used to Todd Johnson, very loud. I can hear him.
Todd's loud? I apologize again.
No. It's not an offense to Todd. I can hear him when he speaks. I can't hear you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Noted.
Don't you say a word.
I have nothing.
No, so the thing is, I wasn't sure, because the long story short, and I don't mean to jump the train here, it's just that I didn't know if you were interested in comments about that, and if you were and I missed it, I apologize.
No, so we are interested in comments, but the applicant requested to continue until next week, or not next week, the next meeting, because of unresolved issues. So that, we can't talk about it too much right now because they're not here and it's not, we've already voted on it to continue. But it is a public meeting, or a public hearing, rather. So you're welcome to come back and as far as I know, they will be here next week. You can always call the, town hall to see like that day whether they've continued or if they have intentions of continuing. Some people do continue at the last minute, so I don't want to say that's a, guarantee that, they'll be here, but I'll try to be more, I'll try to tell everybody about what's been continued.
Is that next Wednesday?
Not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday.
No, I think we go to the
July
3.
19th.
Oh, yeah. July 19th is the next meeting, because we're going into summer hours.
For the Conservation Commission, that's the next meeting. I'm not sure if they're in front of the planning board or anyone else.
Where I came across them was at the select board meeting. That's why.
Okay.
I thought Todd said that they're giving that like a month to kind of process the information. So I don't think they're going to be on the next, but again, I'm not on the select board, I'm not on the planning board. That's my understanding, is that they're going to wait a couple meetings to talk about it again.
July 18th, I think, if that sounds right. I think you're right. I think he said they were going to let them sit and go. It's just I didn't know, I didn't realize, like I said, I wasn't sure. You guys were like, oh, it's on the agenda. I'm like, was I supposed to print that out? So I kind of come in here cold and I apologize.
Oh, no worries.
Because as I said, I do want to speak about it, it's just you can't, because there's nobody here. So if it's 2 weeks for a meeting, I'll come back in 2 weeks if I can.
Yep,
Did you say the 19th?
July 19th.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah, so,
Some,
yeah.
some
We have
schedule, right?
reduced meeting schedules during the summer, so instead of every 2 weeks, we're meeting once in July and once in August. So, yeah, July 19th will be the next meeting.
All right, well, thank you for correcting me.
And-
The right place, the wrong time.
Yeah, and apologies for,
I know it is. I just can't think of which one it is, but I appreciate that. I'll come back in 3 weeks.
all right,
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
thank you. All right, any other discussion on the wetland protection bylaw and regulation changes? If not, did we actually close, agenda item B we did go through. All right, so in that case, any old business, new business, admin reports?
Joe, question for you on new business. I'll two things. Any update on a fifth member?
No.
And then second thing,
Ask that guy.
could you reach out to the clerk's office? I just want to be consistent in how we deal with the public, of who
Yeah.
can speak and when they can speak. I just don't want to let some people speak at some times, then if it gets a little bit testy, now we stop it. Because I just remember during one of the violation notices, we didn't let someone talk, but then during a different one, we did let someone talk,
My
so.
intention, and I think this is kind of backwards on my part, was if it's
I don't think we're supposed to
under,
let anyone speak
yeah, if it's,
unless we give them approval.
Unless you give them approval?
Yeah, like we would have to tell, like that last instance, we'd have to tell them to go to the mic, please introduce yourselves, or give us a quick update on what you want to speak on, because it's a whole point of order, and I just want to make sure that we don't treat certain citizens unfairly depending on the matter they want to talk about.
Okay. You got it.
Thanks, Joe.
We do, we buy the homes in.
Yeah, what's the process for eating during meetings? Are we allowed to do that? All right, could I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next meeting is July 19th.